Many thanks, Wakisi, for giving us that, very important break from a very busy day, politically speaking. On a day, both the two main protagonists are busy on the campaign trail and they're taking advantage of the few remaining days. Is it 2 or 3 days before the campaign season or the campaign window officially closes and Kenyans go to the polls? And here in studio with me this afternoon is Cyprian Nyamwamu, who is the director of Future of Kenya Federation. Many thanks for joining us at this hour.
Thank you
so much. We're going to discuss about several issues. Of course, issues to do with judiciary, the role of propaganda during this time. Of course, we're heading to the elections, and above all, the security situation in the country. Let me begin with the judiciary. And today, we've been covering that story from the Supreme Court, where the Chief Justice David Maraga launched some sort of an bench book that is meant to guide judges as far as the election petition is concerned. Do you think this is the right move by the judiciary?
It is. Thank you so much, Yusuf. And the judiciary is the most prepared of all the other actors in the electoral process. And that is very comforting that they have prepared the bench handbook, which culminates the process they started several months ago now. They started with the training of the magistrates and the judges of the High Court and the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. And of all the actors in the electoral process, the judiciary is the most prepared of all the actors at the moment. And the handbook will make it more efficient for the judges and magistrates who will be involved in the process of litigation that will come from the elections so that they can deliver efficiently.
And Cyprian, speaking about disputes, we've seen the nomination process by both the two main political parties, that is the NASA outfit, that is the opposition, and Jubilee. And what many people have described as some sort of a shambolic process, and there are a lot of disputes. And judiciary here is saying that they expect a big number of election-related disputes. Does this cast some sort of dark shadow over IEBC's role?
Not at all, because the IBC was not directly involved in the primaries that were conducted. You've called it in a shambolic manner. It was an improvement over the past. And the judiciary had a role to play during that period. But this does not speak about IBC. It speaks more about our political culture, where accepting of results and outcomes sometimes is challenging. But it also spoke about the maturity of our political parties, which is yet to consolidate. The reason why the judiciary expects very many disputes to arise is because political competition in this country has become cutthroat because of Kenyan politicians are some of the most highly earning politicians in the world. They earn more than a lot of European parliaments, for example.
And that's why the stakes are high when it comes to election.
The stakes are very high. And that's why you are seeing the kind of competition and the expected disputes that are likely to come from the elections.
And perhaps, what do you have to say about politicians? Because it seems most politicians are into the race to win and to win alone. They're not in there to lose in any way.
There are several reasons. It goes first to the political culture in this country. And secondly, the place of the state. In Africa, particularly in Kenya, the state is a very lucrative business to engage in. If you look at our GDP and you look at the transactions that go on in government, you realize that it is a very lucrative business in this country, and that is why service is normally sacrificed as politicians pursue their own individual benefits. So you will see a National Assembly of 349 members, but to get 100 members in that chamber is always a big challenge.
And let's talk about the security situation in the country. And you've seen what happened to one of the ICT managers at the IEBC, that sad incident which saw his life cut short, And the autopsy result of his colleague, the lady was found with him. She's called Carol Ngombo. And we're getting a report that her body was found, of course, next to the slain IBC ICT manager. And the autopsy results indicate that she was also strangled to death with a rope. Of course, it's something that, investigation is still ongoing. We cannot talk about it. But let's say it has some sort of political connotations. What does it say about the state of politics in this country?
very sad, the developments that have come from over the weekend relating to Chris Msando and now Caro. Our condolences to the families.
Yes.
You have to relate it with what we have just been talking about the high-stakes game that politics is in this country. And one is not sure whether these deaths and the murders are related to access to information technology, courts, and trying to win at whatever cost. But the questions that have been asked are three. One, how can such a high-level officer in charge of ICT be left unguarded, not provided sufficient security? The second question has to speak about the promise that comes from the police always that they will not leave any stone unturned. But these stones have always been left unturned. I think the Inspector General and the Director of the DCI, Ndego Moro, have a lot of work to do to restore confidence in the National Police Service and particularly the detectives to show that they can actually bring people to justice. So there are questions, and then at the policy level is whether we have not reached a place where accountability, security accountability has to be heightened by Parliament, but also by the state itself to ensure that anybody who serves in the security sector is held accountable. For example, how quickly are these investigations going to be concluded so that we can get to the bottom of what happened to Chris and Carol?
And one final question. We're almost out of time. Very briefly, it's a season of propaganda. We're just 4 days away from the polls. How important is it for Kenyans to separate, facts from fiction? Because propaganda, we're seeing propaganda from both sides of the political divide.
Fake news is going to play a role in this. The only thing that you can talk about is to call on Kenyans to be conscious and to cross-check facts, cross-check information. Don't take any information that you get as the gospel truth. You need to actually cross-check and run through whatever information you get to confirm whether it is factual or it's not factual. And this is what the religious leaders were calling for this morning, saying that the place of propaganda, rumors, can actually put the security of this country at peril. It can cause the disintegration of national cohesion. Many
thanks, Cyprian Nyamamo, for your input. And that interview brings us to the end of our program this afternoon, and it has been Kivumbi 2017 right here on KTN News, your election headquarter. But don't go too far, we're still covering for you all this developing story right here on KTN News. And with just 4 days to go before the general election on 8th August, we want to revisit a call to Kenyans to jointly by President Uhuru Kenyatta and NASA's presidential candidate, Raila Odinga. And as we wind up this segment of Kivumbi 2017, here is that clip.
Friends, we've been family friends for a long time. And I remember on that day when Mzee passed on, Jaramogi went to State House and he was carrying the fly whisk. He then went and invoked a very, very passionate dirge in Luo. These political competitions should not bring enmity between people. So that's why whenever we have these political quarrels here and there, sometimes we talk. When things are very hot, we talk. He calls me, or I call him, and we get together. So as we get into the campaign, the heat is going to be here, but Kenya will be here again thereafter. Let it not be something that divides the people. Never again should we shed blood because of elections in our country.